I changed my mind and ended up starting some fall seeds, which was really exciting and fun. So I originally was going to just go around in the front of my house in the little landscaping section and just directly sow everything. But as time has moved on, I've noticed a lot more weeds popping up, and I've weeded it and it's popped up again, and I've already learned this lesson with my last garden. So I'm hoping to put some cardboard down, pull up the pine straw, and do some Charles Dowding method, no dig, no till, the right way from the beginning. So instead of directly sowing in that area, I decided to start some seeds. I also want to get some other gardening projects started, so I made sure that I started enough for everything that I would need. I did do things a little differently this time that I haven't done before, and used soil blocks for the first time. So far, I am still undecided on whether I like the soil blocks. I like the fact that it's less waste. I think if you had the place where you're going to put your plant start already ready, it would be perfect, because you wouldn't need to up pot them. You would just be able to go ahead and put them in the ground or in your raised beds or wherever you're planning to put them. However, I don't have that ready yet, so once these get bigger, I envision that I'm probably going to have to up pot them until they get to where they can actually go in the ground or wherever I'm going to put them. So there is that downside, which I would have rather just used a little bit bigger cut from the beginning so that it would have had room to grow and I wouldn't have to worry about up potting. So that's something to keep in mind when you're using soil blocks. Say if in the spring, for instance, you're using them but you're waiting for your last frost date to pass before you plant anything out, they may get too big for these little soil blocks and you may have to up pot them. It may be worth it just to go ahead and use the pots from the beginning. So that's probably my biggest, I'm not sure about them, qualm yet. So I've been out here soil blocking, which is something I have never done before. I've always used cups, but you have to kind of sanitize them, which is something I never take the time to do. And you know, it has a lot more waste. So I decided I would try soil blocks this year for the fall gardening season. And I thought that it would be easy to just kind of like push it down in the dirt, let it compact up in there, and then push out the blocks into my tray. But I don't know if I don't have my soil wet enough. I have to play around with it a little bit more, I think. But I've been basically just packing it in with my hand and then pushing it out into my tray. So some of them don't look very uniform, and just like, I feel like it's gonna turn into a big mush, muddy plant pit. I don't know how else to describe that, but I feel like they're all gonna turn into one big piece of dirt, you know, and not stay separate little blocks once they get wet. So I just don't know how I feel about this. I almost feel like maybe, I don't know, it depends on how it goes, but that I prefer to use a cup and just keep reusing that same cup year after year, and investing in that versus doing this, but we'll see. I'm still holding out hope on how I feel about it. So I started these all a week ago, and these are all my brassicas, cabbages, kohlrabi, broccoli, cauliflowers, all of my kales and greens and lettuces. This is all different romaines. This is all like dino kale and blue curled scotch kale and some more romaine. This is all spinach section. All just different little greens. Usually once they get a little bit bigger, I'll be able to tell what everything is. I also made like a little chart so that I could keep everything separated and know what everything is. So, and then the second half over here, also these are tomatoes. I didn't get to plant a week ago, so I just planted them yesterday, but these are going to be all of my herbs and flowers and things of that nature. Some squash, some fall squashes I decided to put in here as well. I didn't end up using my seed starting growing system with all of my lights and everything this time because it's sunny enough and warm enough here where I don't need to start them inside. So everything has been started outside, and they have been currently sitting on my porch, and it seems to be working great just out here in the sun. It does stay a little bit shady. I will probably eventually have to move them out into full sun, but we're just not there yet. And speaking of all of my herbs and flowers, I've been getting some questions about when I usually start flowers and if you can start flowers for the fall. And the answer is absolutely yes, that you can. And I usually always start my flowers whenever I'm starting any other sort of vegetables. So usually for me, that's 2 times a year. I'll start some flowers in the fall, and I'll also start flowers kind of in the winter, more when I'm gearing up for spring. You do have to keep in mind though, especially if you're more northern Florida like I am, that if we get any hard frost, that would kill them back. However, if it's something that's more perennial, usually it's enough time for that to get established. It'll die back and regrow and crop back up in the spring. So I do start a lot of stuff, a lot of perennials that I hope to really kind of take off through the next spring, even stuff that needs like a period of cold temperatures before it grows and needs some sort of like stratification, like coneflower is perfect to start in the fall because then it can sit and have a period of cold, especially if you're just like directly sowing that. Coneflower being echinacea. I also like to start chamomile in the fall here because chamomile, every time I've started in the spring, it just gets hot too quickly before it really has time to take off, and chamomile grows so slowly that I've found, at least here. So I like to start chamomile in the fall. It usually survives the winter. Sometimes I have to cover it up with a frost blanket if we're having a hard frost, but that usually protects it well enough, and it usually tolerates the cold a little bit more, I found, than other flowers. And then it finally flowers in the spring, and until I started doing that, I never successfully grew chamomile in Florida. But I found that the trick, at least here for me in North Florida, was starting them with my fall seeds. So that's when I grow. I do also grow zinnias and a lot of my other cut flowers. Those I just expect if we get a hard frost, they're gonna die, but usually I get to enjoy them for a while before that happens. So yes, start your flowers in the fall. If you're here in Florida, your pollinators are gonna love you for it. They're gonna love that bit of extra pollen and stuff that they can get here in the fall where a lot of places they might not. So I definitely suggest that. You guys know I'm a huge flower fan in general, so I'm always going to preach to keep growing flowers. So all of my flowers haven't popped up yet for me to be able to show you which ones are which, but I know I started some wild thyme, I started some lemon bee balm, or monarda is another name for it. Started a bunch of chamomile, I started a bunch of calendula, which tends to do, sometimes the summers here and the spring gets too hot for calendula to do well for me for a long period of time, so I usually have a good amount of luck growing calendula in the fall as well. It's a great herb, has tons of herbal uses, also makes a really great cut flower, so love starting a bunch of calendula in the fall. I started, what else did I start? Started some nasturtiums, which do really well in cooler weather here. So I started a bunch of nasturtiums. I started some borage, not a lot of borage, just like 1 or 2 plants. I started some zinnias and some tithonia, or otherwise called Mexican sunflower, just because I didn't get any of those to grow this past spring, so I'm really missing those. Not the zinnias, the Mexican sunflower. And I think there was a lot more other ones that I started, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. There's definitely a lot of flowers that I have found do better in a little bit of the cooler weather that we get here in the fall. Also, I wanted to show y'all really quick the weeds. I've already come through and weeded this once like a week ago, and now you see all of this is all weeds. There's a couple little self-seeded zinnias, but mostly this is all weeds, and it's pretty aggressive. When I pull them up, I usually notice that there's like a little tuber attached to them, and they really spread. Like, I don't know if you saw how long that was just from that one plant. So I am not direct sowing here. I'm putting cardboard down, doing Charles Dowding style, 4 inches of compost or soil on top, then putting the pine straw down and planting this area. But look how pretty these zinnias are. I've missed having flowers so much, so these are just a welcome sight. Well, you guys, I hope you all are doing well and getting your fall gardening season going. I'm so jealous for any of you who are able to go ahead and just have your garden set up already. I have so much work to do still before I have a full functioning garden, but it is so much fun to start fresh and be creative and just get to build that all over again. So I am looking forward to it too. So I hope you all are well, and I will see you all so soon. Bye, guys. Oh, I should also add that I have been getting some requests to do a frequently asked questions video, so if you have any burning questions that you have been wanting to know, just leave them in the comments below, and hopefully I'll be able to do a frequently asked questions video soon. So anyway, bye again.